Hello, friends, and welcome back to the new episode of r/IDontWorkHereLady and our first warm-up story. Karen needs her very own checkout lane. This happened several years ago. I was shopping at Garden Ridge, which sold household items, decor items, gifts, and craft supplies. It was a huge store with 2 entrances and 2 sets of checkout lanes, one at each entrance. I was casually shopping when a round woman in her 50s or 60s got right in front of my cart. She glared at me. I tried to go around her, but she stopped me again, saying, "You gonna help me or not?" I said, "What?" "I need a register open so I can check out." I looked at her, astounded. I said, "I don't work here, but there are registers open at the other entrance." To which she replied, "I don't want to walk to those registers. Now open one and check me out." I looked her in the eye and said sternly, "I don't work here." She threw up her hands, started to walk away, and as she was walking away, she turned and yelled at me, "This isn't over!" I ignored her and grabbed the last couple of items I needed and headed to the registers. I noticed the line was not moving, and I could hear that awful woman's voice. She was arguing with the cashier. The cashier called a manager. Other people waiting in line were getting impatient, and it was showing. The manager arrived and instructed the cashier to open another register so that the rest of us, the sane people, could check out. "How come you open a register for them but not me?" the awful woman yelled at the manager. He replied, "Ma'am, you're at an open register now. What can I help you with?" "I wanted a register open at the other door and one of your workers refused to do it." She kept babbling nonsense. I raised my hand to get the manager's attention. The awful woman looked over at me at the same time the manager did. "It was her! She wouldn't open a register for me! Then she lied and said she didn't work here!" shouted the awful woman. "Ma'am, she doesn't work here," said the manager. "Are you gonna help me or not?" she yelled. "I'm trying to help you, ma'am, but you haven't asked for something that I can help you with. If you want to check out, then I'll check you out." The awful woman huffed and puffed and started angrily putting her items on the counter. I was nearly done paying for my items at the other checkout lane when she was done paying for hers. The manager handed her the receipt and told her to have a nice day. As the awful woman was walking towards the door, she paused and shouted, "I guess customer service is dead here." The manager shouted back, "Ma'am, you can call corporate and get it out of your system. I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me or my staff." "Oh, I'm definitely calling corporate, and I'm telling them everything that happened here today," she yelled. I was walking past her and said to her, "I'm sure that'll be rich. Tell them you need to have your own personal checkout lane while you're at it." She looked at me, red-faced and shaking, and yelled, "I plan on it," then took off, following the sidewalk around the building. As I walked to my car, I was still in shock that someone could be so awful. I didn't realize this type of person was real until today. So my job is kind of specific, so I'm going to be intentionally vague. My work location is an entertainment company, but I don't work for the entertainment company. Instead, I'm a third party specifically there to audit/make sure Entertainment Corp is performing above board, not breaking any laws, etc. I'm officially neutral and separate from the business. Most people ignore me, because all of Entertainment Corp wears a uniform where I just wear regular business wear. I do, however, have a small badge I wear. It's different from the rest of the staff, but it is a badge. Anyway, I'm walking through the building from my station for the day to the assignment area so I can clock out, and a woman is blocking the door holding a soda in her hand. Her face is red and angry. Oh boy. "Grab that server for me," she tells me, pointing at a server across the room. I hesitate for a second because I'm really supposed to interact with the staff as little as possible. I'm not even supposed to walk through certain areas, like the one the server's standing in. But whatever. So I kind of walk toward the server, but not into the zone, and wave to get his attention and point him toward the woman. He's approaching her, following behind me. I figure he's got the situation, and I go to walk behind her through the doorway she's still kind of blocking. I step around her, and as I do, she starts telling me that something's wrong with her soda. I hold up my arms defensively and calmly state, "I don't work for Entertainment Corp." "Big mistake. She is PO'd and has absolutely abandoned the server, instead to follow me through the area yelling about how you do work here and how I have an attitude problem. I once again am put into a weird spot since I'm supposed to engage customers minimally. This woman is irate and I'm not going to fight her in the middle of the area. I cross into the separate section for my company, leaving her behind. I immediately walk to my manager and start telling him what's happened. As I'm talking, she starts yelling from the fenced-off area, pointing at me. "What's her name? I want to speak to a manager!" Bah, bah, bah. I look at my manager and just said, "That's her." He then met with her and one of the Entertainment Corp staff to try and explain the situation. Apparently, she tried to make up something and say my manager also did something wrong. I heard her yelling about how customer service is her industry and she knows how to treat people. Okay. I admit I could have coddled her more. "I'm so sorry about your drink, ma'am, but this gentleman right here will fix that for you. Okay, Pumpkin?" But I wasn't expecting her to tirade through the entire building following me yelling. Honestly, I think she was just upset already and looking for someone to take it out on. "I'm a patient, sir." I had to go to an appointment at a Veterans Affairs hospital immediately after work. In fact, I had to leave work early, with my supervisor's approval, just to make the appointment, so I didn't have time to change. Not thinking about it, I walked into the hospital wearing scrubs. The entire time I was there, it didn't occur to me that I would look like staff. So I finished up my appointment, spoiler alert, still a cripple, and proceeded to gimp walk to my car, cutting through different buildings to soak up some AC on the way. I get to the last building and a woman in a business casual outfit walks up to me and says, "Are you doing anything right now?" "Nope, just heading home. Why?" "Okay, can you come with me?" "Okay." So we walk over to this hallway where it looks like someone spilled a huge fountain drink. I hate to ask this, but I have to be somewhere, like right now, and I can't get a hold of custodial staff. Can you mop this up? I don't work here." "It's fine. I'll show you the mop closet." She walks me over to the mop closet. It's just that I have a lot of older patients, and I need this cleaned up before someone slips and breaks a hip. I wouldn't normally ask, but this can be dangerous. Well, that makes sense, I guess. "Thank you so much. Just make sure to put down the wet floor sign." She left. I'm still not realizing that I'm wearing scrubs, and I get to filling up the bucket and mopping. It's kind of difficult to mop when you walk with a cane. I had one hand halfway down the mop, the other end of the mop cradled between my shoulder and neck. I got finished up and was about to put everything away when a guy in a polo and khakis comes up and says, "Hey, where's your lanyard and ID?" "What? I don't have one. I don't work here." "Are you a new hire?" "No." "Then you know you have to wear it in the building. It doesn't matter which building you work in." "Sir, I don't work here. I'm a patient." Then it dawned on me what I was wearing. I came here from work. I worked somewhere else. "Oh, then why are you mopping?" "Some lady asked me to and said some old person might break a hip. It made sense to me at the time." So when I told the first woman that I didn't work here, she assumed I didn't know where the mop closet was because I didn't work in that particular building. And that's how I got press-ganged into being a janitor for a few minutes. And our next story. Intern Kevin tries to get a permanent. I met this Kevin while interning at a nonprofit organization. Kevin interned in the archive department, and once the summer was coming to an end, he decided he would get a permanent job there no matter the cost. This led to several harebrained schemes and unsuccessful attempts to show how good of an employee he could be. Kevin tried to apply to a position in his department that had not existed for years because of budget cuts, but Kevin was a member of the organization and thought he was superior to everyone else. So of course he thinks they'll just find the money so he can continue working there. He meets with the main hiring director, who again tells him there's no money or need for the position, but that doesn't stop Kevin. Instead, he comes up with an even worse plan. Kevin decides to apply for another position in a completely different department that he has no qualifications for. Kevin's plan is to get the job, then after a couple weeks, move back into his old office at the archive department and pretend like he's been working there the whole time. Of course, Kevin's plan was ruined by the fact that he told coworkers about it, so some people already knew about his false intentions before he even had the interview. Before this interview, Kevin tried to show how he can be a model employee. One day, my soda got trapped in the vending machine, Kevin attempted to prove how macho he was in front of the hiring director, who was retired military, by shaking and punching the machine until he was red in the face and ran out of breath. The hiring director then proceeds to pull out a key and unlock the machine in a couple of seconds, making Kevin look like an absolute jackwagon while he's about to pass out from exhaustion. A few days later at lunch, one of the other interns mentions how she's getting some furniture delivered to her apartment. Kevin butts in and says, "I can come over to your place and help assemble it for you." She tells him, "Thanks, but I can do it on my own." Kevin's unfazed. "Nope, I'm going to come over and help. This is a man's job." What's creepy is that Kevin was older than most of the interns by about 5 years, having already gotten a master's degree while everyone else was still an undergrad. Week later, Kevin receives a visitor in his office. The new CEO, who was due to start in a month, wanted to check in with everyone. The CEO begins to explain how he wants to run things when Kevin tries to correct him. Despite having worked there for 2 months and due to leave in a week, Kevin starts to lose his patience. "This is how we've done things in the past, and this is how we're going to keep doing them." Somehow Kevin still thought he had a good chance going into the interview, despite screaming at the new CEO, who would have to approve new employees. Well, this ends exactly how you thought it would. Kevin doesn't get the job and mopes back to his office to pack up his stuff, riding off into the sunset to scam his way into another job. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.